We have sailed Delos over 80,000 nautical miles across 6 continents, crossing the Atlantic Ocean, the Pacific Ocean, and the Indian Ocean, some more than once even, and we have learned a ton.
And in today's video, we're gonna talk about what's worked and what hasn't over the years. This is the first video in like a series of videos, I think, about our quest for Delos 2.0.
I'm excited, let's get into it. Okay, old habits die hard, and I wrote up a document. The title of this document is called SV Delos 2.0 Basic Criteria. It's dated May of 2018. So this document is, almost 6 years old now?
That's crazy.
I'm just gonna read the document and then we can comment it afterwards. All right, so this is back when we first started dreaming of what the evolution of Delos would be, started calling it Delos 2.0. Here's the summary. We're looking to build a rugged, expeditionary style cruising yacht capable of both tropical and high latitude cruising. The focus will be exploring remote corners of the Earth for extended periods of time. We tend to stay away from marinas, so self-sufficiency is important to us. We enjoy exploring rivers, reefs, and poorly charted waters, so lifting or swing keel is something to explore for us. We also do a lot of diving, so the design will need to incorporate easy access to the water, as well as a shop garage for the compressor and dive equipment. We would like to take the experience and knowledge from sailing Delos and Amel Supermaramu 53 and incorporate this into a more modern hull design. A good protected helm and cockpit area is a must for us. The approximate type of sailing will be 75% trade winds tropics, 15% moderate latitudes, 10% high latitudes. When considering the design, we want to experiment with new technologies and ideas that others may not in a traditional build. We plan on seriously considering hybrid diesel-electric power combinations, large battery banks, DC-only generators, and a big solar array. The yacht should stress functionality and purpose over luxury. Because that was like the summary, and then there's some specifics in here, and it says, basic criteria, LOA, which is length overall of 60 to 70 foot. Beam as much as possible. Beam carried further aft, so we want something very long and very wide, like a very big boat. Draft 1 to 1.5 meters. Swing or lifting keel, so we want Delos is 2.1 meters. So we want something a little bit shallower.
Definitely.
Hull, unpainted aluminum. GRP, which is fiberglass, glass reinforced plastic, or composites. Fuel and supplies, provisions should be self-sufficient for like 3 to 5 months at a time. Cabins, we typically sail with 4 people, but on occasion may need berths for 9 to 10.
Maybe not 9 to 10.
Very rare occasions. Rig, cutter to catch. I love sailing to catch. Seems best. And rudder, twin rudder or swing rudder, allowing for shoal draft. So once we can keeping the draft down, and the ability to beach the boat also, I think would be very, very cool.
Awesome.
Here's an interesting one, speed, averaging 7 to 8 knots. So that's very similar to what we do on Delos. I think our passage across the Pacific, our average was like 6.3 or 6.4 knots. Our last passage to Tumotos was 7.3 knots. So
Pretty fast.
it's not bad. I mean, it's not a race boat, but
I just wouldn't want to
slow.
go any slower.
So you don't feel like we need to necessarily go faster. No carbon fiber toilets in your future.
I mean, wouldn't mind a carbon fiber toilet. That's not on top of my list.
And so we have actually done a little exercise, and we have come up with things that we don't love about Delos, and also things that we really do love about Delos. Kaza, being the skilled little craftsperson that she is, cut up little squares and put them in this bowl. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna pick them out, and then we're just gonna chat about them. Can I sneak peek?
No!
Come on, I want to pick a good one. I want to pick a real juicy one for the first one.
Are you gonna do it or am I gonna do
You're
it?
gonna do it, sorry.
Is it me that starts?
Yeah, you start.
Okay.
Oh, you can read it, sorry.
Brian.
I'm sorry, I'm having so much fun with this already.
Not enough cabins.
Today we sleep 6 people, 2 couples and 2 singles, and our room is in the back, and Sierra has the front cabin as her room, which has been amazing for us.
3 private cabin arrangement
Yeah,
would be
ideal.
for us. Next up on the list, watertight bulkheads. That's an amazing feature that I love about Delos. We have quite a few watertight bulkheads in this boat. This right here is watertight bulkhead. The one in front of Sierra's is, so the first 6 feet or 2 meters of the boat is watertight. The whole engine room is watertight. And then back in our cabin, come on back here, this is a watertight bulkhead as well. So once we close these doors, shut it off, that completely seals off these compartments, which gives us time. So any new boat design that we consider, I think, would definitely have to have. It's like a cool safety thing, I think. Whoa.
Dinghy storage.
Dinghy storage, Okaz.
I know.
This is your recent thing.
I've been having a lot of anxiety towards how we store the dinghy on deck lately. It's super solid out there. It's really the only place, because she's so big and she's so heavy.
Why don't we just get a new dinghy that's lighter?
No, I really love our dinghy.
I do too.
She's a beast. We've had her for so many years. It's indestructible. It's such a safety in a lot of ways, and we can really do amazing exploring with her. But when the boat is really rolly, like it has been lately in the Marquesas where we are right now, picking her up and putting it on deck has been extremely stressful, because she swings, and because she's so heavy, it's very dangerous and it's very hard to hold her.
It would be fair to say that rather than get a different dinghy, we're going to get a different boat to suit our dinghy.
Yeah.
Nice, I like it.
And also, when you have Maggie up there, when you're underway, she takes up the whole forward.
Yeah, the visibility sucks.
You can't see anything. And when you come into the marinas, it's really hard. It's really hard to do stuff up there when you're underway. So yeah, it's not ideal, but it is what it is. So that's definitely something that needs improving for sure.
Okay, it is, oh, it's a blue one. Fridges and freezers. Okay, that's a really good one on Delos. We're super set up for fridge space and freezer space. Like, I think we have just the perfect amount. We actually have 3 built-in units. We have the day fridge over here, and we have these 2 units under the seat that are very big and can either be fridges or freezers. And between the 3 of those, we've always been able to find our stuff. So whatever new boat we dream up, we'll definitely have the same amount.
Or more.
Or more.
I feel like I need a
What?
separate
One more?
cheese freezer.
Oh.
I think that's enough cheese. I think probably good. I love my cheese.
Okay, done.
Okay, this is a big one. Blue one, sailing performance sail plan.
Ooh.
So this is something that I absolutely love on Delos. Delos is a sailing machine.
She is.
And she is a blue water. She just loves it on the open ocean. And I feel we've been in some extremely gnarly weather, and I've always felt very safe. The sailing configuration, you know, because she's a ketch, so it's just 2 smaller sail instead of a big mainsail, which kind of spreads it out a little bit, make it more manageable. I can take the sails in and out pretty much all by myself if I'm on night watch. All the sail controls is from the cockpit. There's so many good things about Delos' sail plan that I absolutely love, that I would really want to carry on into a new boat. I want it to be safe, I want it to be easy, and I love the furling main that we have. I know a lot of people hate furling sails, but we've actually never really had any problems with it.
Yeah.
So big thumbs up to Delos, amazing sail configurations for sure.
Oh, this is one of my pet peeves in the tropics. Cockpit wet from rain. So Delos has, for a monohull, like a pretty nice cockpit, I feel. It's very spacious, it's wide, it's long enough to lay out, but one of the big problems is that the hard dodger, which ends right here, is absolutely amazing. This part of the bimini works pretty well, but from here back, whenever it rains, it's just incredibly difficult to keep water out of this area. So water comes in here, water comes in here, water comes in the sides, it gets on the pillows, it drains onto the floor, and then it just sucks. Like, you don't want to live out here when it's all, you know, kind of just wet from a squall. It takes hours to dry. So whatever we do, the cockpit or the lounging area, whatever it might be, will be kind of like built with really a lot of attention to keeping the rain, diverting the rain in channels or gutters, and just keeping it dry. Like,
And we've never really taken this dodger off.
we did it a few times for regatta, but it's like sun protection, it's wind protection, it's rain protection. If I were to build a boat again, I would even consider like having the helm even more protected, like even more inside or in a fully enclosed like hard dodger or something like that.
Insulation.
Oh, Kaz's favorite.
This one is something that I was struggling a lot with especially when we went up to Maine and we stayed a little bit too long and it got a little bit cold and it basically just like rained inside the boat because we had the heater on.
All the moisture from you breathing inside the boat collects on the hull and just drips down into everything.
And it's not ideal.
So your clothes are basically soaked in sweat and breath.
Sweat.
That's what it is.
Sounds horrible.
That's where the humidity inside comes from.
Living on a boat. Your clothes are drenched.
Why does it smell like sweat and breath
My
in
clothes
here?
are not drenched.
They
in
are.
sweat.
You just don't know it. We're boat people, Kaz.
Anyways, okay, you do you. But my clothes are pretty clean. Anyways, like I think just having that condensation and all that moisture inside the boat just breeds mold, and it was something that I was struggling with daily when we were up in Maine. If we ever want to go up to high or low latitudes again, I'm not doing it in a non-insulated boat because this is our home and I want to feel comfortable and I don't want to be around mold. That's it.
Okay. Up next for me. Dun, 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 dun. Can you read it for me?
Oh,
I can read it backwards. The death rolls. Oh.
this is something, Brian.
You hate mold. I hate the death rolls more than you even hate mold. Like, anybody who's out there living on a monohull knows about the death rolls. It's where you're in the anchorage and you're just going from like rail to rail to rail. There's nothing worse. The only thing that's worse is being seasick, and if you get seasick being on anchor, then it really, really sucks.
Talk lately about our experience.
So we're in the Marquesas right now. The Marquesas don't really have any protection from a reef, and so the swell from the ocean just rolls right on into the anchorage. Because the wind is often at a different direction from the swell coming into the bay, the boat sort of ends up sideways to the swell, and you just do this all day long. And sometimes it can get so violent that like things will roll off the counter, like cups will go flying. It just generally makes the conditions unlivable.
And you hate it so much.
I hate it.
I hate it too, but I think you hate it
I've
more.
sailed hundreds of miles to avoid rolling before, and I'll happily do it.
Anybody else out there hating the rolls?
As much as me. Yeah, it's just one of those things about cruising that I just don't enjoy, and I'm happy to admit that. So what do you do about it? Flopper stoppers, stern tie. Catamarans don't roll because they have two holes. I think flatter bottom boat designs that are more like workboat designs, they don't roll because they're a flatter bottom. So I don't know. I don't know if I can roll anymore, Kaz. It's a deal breaker for me. Dun, 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 dun.
Hard rails.
Ooh.
So I love Delos' hard rails. It's something that you can grab onto. It's very safe when you're out sailing and you need something, or when you're, we always go from the dinghy up on the side, something to grab onto. I think it's something that I definitely would like to carry on or consider when looking at a different boat for sure.
Ooh. Dark inside, living in a cave. I wish
Are
you
we
got
cave
this
people?
one. Are we cave people? Delos is a beautiful boat, but she was built a long time ago. All the finish is, very nice and beautiful wood, but it sometimes feels a little bit dark down here. And when you come down the steps, it's quite deep. You come down, we have one small hatch here, but it is kind of like stepping a bit into like an old English pub or a tavern or a cave. And especially since all the walls are lined with storage, we have heaps of storage, but we don't have like any windows. You can't really see outside. And so sometimes when we're down here chilling, we feel a little bit isolated from the anchorage. So I think interesting options are like pilot houses, deck salons, raised deck salons look cool. They give you like more headroom, more light, more windows. Obviously catamarans have all wraparound windows, which is an amazing view, but you lose all the storage that you have on the walls.
Yeah.
So,
Trade-off.
trade-off. You just took one out and put it back.
I'm gonna pick this one.
Oh, you're cherry picking them. What is that?
It's a blue one, and it's something that I love about Delos, and it's that it doesn't really have any wasted space.
Can you give me one example of like a really cool use of space on Delos?
This berth right here.
Oh yeah.
So, you know, it's a sofa during the day,
Sofa by day,
like
bed
this,
by night.
You know, you have this, it sticks here. You can also put it right here.
Very clever.
You know, it's just small things. That
Like
I
underneath
love.
the table too is very sturdy, and underneath the table is alcohol and wine storage. Yeah, instant bed, right?
Yeah, you can sleep
In a
here
pinch.
by the potatoes.
That's a great use of space. You can sleep by the potatoes.
We have this table out here.
It collapses down very nice. It's a
Yeah.
great use of space. So it folds up, but then it becomes a ginormous cockpit table, right? And that leg
That we have here
is
is
meant.
also used for if we need to manually pump out the bilge pump. You can do it right here.
Pretty
This
sweet,
leg
right?
For the table.
With the big long lever arm. Good job,
Like my
Amel.
glass.
That's a nice one. And while I'm at it, I'm going to show off your cool water gauge because this water gauge is sick. Sorry, yep. The water gauge is right in the keel, and so it's just a simple float, never fails. We have 400 liters of water out of a 1,000-liter tank, and it's directly below us where the weight is centered in the boat and very low. It's actually in the keel.
Yeah.
So that is another double space use. So I'm not off topic. Our water tank is in our keel. It's a 2-for-1. I'm gonna pull a Kaza. Am I allowed to do that?
You can do whatever you want.
Oh, really? Okay, I'm picking this one. The frickin' stern overhang slap.
Oh yeah.
So like, we're gonna have to put in some B-roll for this one. The back of Delos has a very like elegant design where the water line is right here and the back of the boat kind of comes up like that, which looks very nice with the overhang and everything. But anytime a boat goes by or somebody generates a wake or swell hits the island and then bounces back, it hits the back of that overhang like the fist of God. It's like just somebody is slamming into the boat and the whole boat goes like, "Grrr," and if you're trying to sleep back there, it will jolt you awake like nobody's business.
Our whole bed shakes.
The whole boat shakes. What the shit was that? Like did somebody
Yeah.
just hit us? No, it's just a little swell hitting the back, but it's like a giant echo chamber. So I don't really like that. I would prefer
I feel like you felt very strongly about
I
this.
hate that. I've been putting a lot of thought into this. And then also, there's no bottom paint on that thing, right? Because
Yeah.
it like goes way up. And so it gets wet and then it dries and it gets wet and then it dries and it forms this like green nastiness right above the waterline that is incredibly hard to clean off. So I prefer like a straight edge or a flat transom, anything but an overhang in the stern. Boom.
Heaps of storage. This is something that I love about Delos since I am a confessed food hoarder.
You're somewhat of a food hoarder and the master provisioner.
Yeah, I like to have a solid amount of food on board.
Here's a question. Have you ever gone to the store and not bought anything?
Why would you otherwise go to the store? That's my question.
Okay, so that's a no. And have you ever gone to the store, done a big provision, come back to Delos, and then not being able to fit everything? The big question, will it all fit?
Delos will always fit everything.
You know, that's going to be incredibly hard to duplicate on a new boat, especially if you want like good interior volume, right?
I know.
I mean, look how deep these things are.
They're
Stick
so-
your arm in there, Kaz. How deep is that arm?
That
Kaz has
deep.
got, that's a pretty deep locker.
And we
And
have
they go,
all of
they
these.
cover the entire wall on both sides, all over the boat. And show us that bilge.
Sure.
Mixers,
juices.
Juice, milk. That's a deep bilge too.
Yep.
And there's another one over there, and there's another one over there, and there's another one under me, and there's another one right there. In fact, this is where I keep all my stills. So there's the Turbo 500 and the air still. I don't know. What are we gonna do if we don't have as much bilge space? I guess the rule of boats is as much storage as you have, that's how much stuff you'll have.
Yeah. That's it.
That's it. Oh, skeg rudder. Yeah, this one is a deal breaker for me. Basically, the skeg, it's a piece of structure in front of the rudder that not only protects the rudder, but also gives it support at the top and the bottom. Anything that hits the rudder hits the skeg first and deflects it. I think that the number of times that we've hit stuff that have, like, including the ground and reefs and just floating objects like fishing nets, and having like an unprotected spade rudder with just one or two bearings up top supporting it, I think is good for some types of cruising, or certainly faster, more performance-oriented boats, but not for the type of sailing that we do and the type of cruising that we want to do. I'm absolutely convinced that if we didn't have a skegged rudder on Delos, we would have lost or for sure seriously damaged the rudder. So this is a great example right here, Kaz. Remember when that cat was motoring around the anchorage in shallow water and they struck a mooring block, and they struck the block with enough force that it actually took the rudder and it bent the shaft back, which then took the trailing edge of the rudder and actually shoved it up through the hole, which created a bottom, that created a hole in the bottom of the boat for water to leak in and disabled their steering at the same time. That was a rough day for them. Also, having the propeller protected is a huge deal. You know, we've hit so many fishing nets going through the South China Sea and then going between Madagascar and South Africa. There were just so many random things floating in the water. Like, I don't know, it just seems to me that you want that peace of mind. And so it's a big one for me.
Draft.
Is that draft beer?
No. It's the depth of the keel. It's the draft of the boat.
Mm.
So Delos has a 2.1 meter draft, and I feel like there's definitely been quite a few places where we could not get in because we're too deep. So
I mean, we do push the limits from time to time. They say there's two types of sailors: those that have run aground and those that will.
But it would be amazing to be able to have a keel that is not that deep, or some lifting situation where you can go into shallower anchorages and anchor more protected too. Like, you can just tuck in more behind islands and towards the beach and stuff. So that's something that I would really, really love to improve for a new boat.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Okay. Boom, 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 boom. Water and fuel capacity. So yeah, this is one of those sort of range and getting out there and staying out there things. So on Delos, we carry 1,000 liters of water. And I know that some people have the argument that you have a water maker, why do you need to carry so much water? Well, there's two reasons. Number one, the water maker will break. It's broken on us 3 times on the first circumnavigation. It broke in the Philippines, it broke in Chagos, and it broke where, I can't remember the third one, somewhere in the Caribbean. Each time we happened to have at least 500 liters of water in the tank, and so it gave us some time to at least wait for it to rain and try and catch some rain like we did in the Philippines or in Madagascar. It gave me a few days to get to a place where there was a machine shop where I could get a new high pressure hose made up. I do think it's kind of important. Also, not everywhere you can run the water maker. So for example, when we were in Cape Town in South Africa, we couldn't run the water maker because of pollution. When we were in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, it was the same exact thing. If you go really far up rivers, you know, you can run the water maker if the water's clean, but your filters are just going to get clogged after 10 minutes, and then that's a big hassle. Even in St. Helena, which is in the middle of nowhere, the sewage overflow from the town ran right into the mooring field. And so whenever it rained, like, you better not run your water maker, because then, you know, it's just poop water. I know it's supposed to filter it out and all that, but why take the chance if you don't have to? So water capacity, I think 1,000 liters is a pretty good number. That's been enough for us for a crew of 6 or 7 to last, you know, at least 2 weeks, probably longer. That's, you know, taking showers, and I mean, if we're just drinking it, it'll last way longer. With 3 people on board, it's really plenty. It gives you a lot of flexibility. And then fuel. We have enough fuel on Delos to motor for about 1,000 miles. So that gives you a lot of options when it comes to the places that you want to travel. For example, if you are going to do a circumnavigation, you're going to have to do things like motor through the Panama Canal. You might have to motor through large sections of like Southeast Asia where for months at a time it seemed like the actual currents were faster than the wind speed. You have like 2 knots of wind and you'd have 3 knots of current. And whatever boat we choose, I think would definitely have to have like comparable range and capacities for water and fuel. Okay.
So, -1 is the ventilation on Delos.
Oh, big one.
Yeah, the ventilation on Delos we feel is not that great. The hatches are quite small, I feel, for the size of the boat.
I mean, for this salon, this big salon, we have 1 opening hatch and it's just not enough.
We have improved it with wind scoops and stuff like that, but I think that I would really on a different boat think about how can we maximize more hatches, I would say, to be able to bring more air through the boat.
Yeah.
It would be very important because it does get very hot.
And also when it rains, you've got to close that hatch when you do the rain dance.
Yeah.
And then when it rains, you get absolutely 0 ventilation. And so how cool would it be to have it raining and still have breeze coming through the boat?
Yeah.
That would be awesome. Narrow stern. All right, so Delos has a very like pretty design, but it goes from 5 meters to like less than 3 meters at the stern. So it's like a teardrop. And so when you get into the back, this is the widest part of the boat where I am right now, and then you lose space the further you move back. More modern designs carry the aft further beam, and obviously catamarans are like, you know, big rectangles, so they're the other end of the extreme. I guess you could always argue that it's nice to have a little bit more living space inside, but I think that there are some kind of like performance things that you need to consider there. We actually talked to that naval architect in France about that and how he said you do have to offset the longer water line with more control surfaces and keel arrangements down below.
Good downwind setup. So
Ooh.
I love the 2 downwind poles on Delos that we can put up and basically head straight downwind. We have used it a lot of times. Lately, we've been sailing upwind more than I would like to
More than anybody
admit.
wants to.
But on the Pacific Crossing, we used it a lot of days, and it's just an amazing setup to be able to put those both big sails up and just blast downwind. And it's something that I would love to be able to do on a different boat too.
So we didn't used to have an asymmetrical spinnaker, but when the conditions are right,
Yeah.
that one fills in a big gap.
Yeah.
Because those 2 head sails are incredibly good for dead downwind and
And if
maybe
you move
about
it off.
30 degrees to either side. But more than that, you've got a hole there where the asymmetrical, the kite comes in.
Yeah.
There's one sail I would love to have on another boat, a Code Zero sail. So like a lighter air, big giant Genoa made out of, you know, the same like spinnaker material that fills in that gap. Dead downwind would be here. And then we start to move into asymmetrical territory. And then as we get closer to the beam and forward of the beam, that Code Zero sail, I think, could really fill in that gap. That's how Bill always catches us on Calico Skies whenever we're ahead of him. And then the breeze gets light, he throws up that big blue sail of his, and then he just catches us. And I'm like, Bill! So we're going to get one. I'm cheating now, too. I just pulled out separate engine room because I love my second home.
Spent a lot of time in there.
Yeah, I spent a lot. Come on out here. So this is something that I think is a good trade-off. I mean, the negative aspect is you're using a huge amount of space that could otherwise be another cabin or bunks or living space or storage or something. But to have all the machinery, like the engine, the generator, all the pumps, the air conditioning pumps in one room is good because it just provides you good access for servicing everything. It keeps all the noise, all the heat, all the fumes, all the oils, all that stuff in here instead of like under a bed. When I work on something, I don't have to tear up the interior. I mean, you could live down here.
Oh,
I have for days at a time. Yeah, we got our engine, we got our transmission, we got our generator, we got the water maker up this way. Everything's laid out, easy to get to, accessible, and it's also a watertight compartment. This is another watertight area of the boat that's separated from all the other areas. All the plumbing can be shut off. So it's really isolated. Yeah,
It's amazing.
it's a good one. Can I pick one for you? We're changing it up.
Okay.
Close your
I
eyes.
was like, I'll start at one.
Congratulations, you get galley layout.
Galley layout. Okay. Well, it just so happens that I'm standing in the galley right now. How convenient. And I actually love Dallas's galley. It's very, like, it's big for a boat galley, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
But it's
It's got everything you need.
everything you need, and it's very, when we're healing this way, it's particularly good. But we also have this little guy that we can put out that you can lean against when you're healing the other way,
Mm-hmm.
so you don't fly across the boat. And yeah, I feel like we have everything that we would want in a galley. Like, we do have a bread maker, we have a lot of the things that I would have in a housekeeper.
And I think the U shape works very well. If you're having a dinner party, like, you know, this is kind of like the salon where people are hanging out and eating, and then you can be over there cooking,
So you're not,
and you're
like,
still part of the
separate.
action. And you can fit more than one person in there.
Yeah, 2, I would say, is max.
Yeah, 3 if you're really good friends.
Yeah.
Like when we were,
yeah.
think about all the people we had in there when we were cracking crab.
It's a lot of people.
It's a lot of people.
Because you wrote this one.
Because I wrote this one. Exhaust exit, Kaz. It's like, what do you mean by exhaust exit? It just means like the exhaust comes out of the engine room, right out the side of the boat, which is lovely and good because it's a short exhaust run. But that also means that like the engine exhaust then has the opportunity to like smear itself along half of the boat, all down the side. And I have to spend an inordinate amount of time cleaning off the black streak of an Amel, which everybody knows about. It's just like a smudge of soot down the port side of the boat, and I got better things to do with my time. The last one.
Wait, do you want to film it? Picking it up?
I can see it. Dun, dun, dun.
The last one is low maintenance exterior. So I do not like varnishing. I could never have a boat that needed a lot of varnish. This is just not something that I enjoy. We have a few spots like the door and a few spots in the cockpit that I do varnish, but I don't enjoy it and I would not want any more than that. So I love that Delos has the, you know, just no teak. It's just fiberglass and it's very easy to clean and it's very easy to just like maintain.
Pretty much the only thing we've ever done to the decks, and they're 23 years old now, was repaint the stripes in Puerto Penasco the last year.
Yeah.
It was Super Ryan. I do have one complaint about the decks though, the color.
Yes, they're dark. They're too dark, which makes them extremely hot.
Hot neck, hot neck.
Even with just a little bit of sun. So I would go with lighter color if you would do decks.
Doesn't look as classic, but then you won't burn your footsies and have to wear sandals when you walk on your boat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like back where we started.
Exactly back where we started.
I think we did pretty
It
good.
was actually a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun, and I think it was pretty equal between like the positive and the negatives. But it must have been some things that we missed.
Mm-hmm.
So please comment below, kind of what you would
Like what's your pet peeve about your boat, and what's your favorite thing, because we would like to see that.
Yeah.
We want to know. So be sure to tune in next week because we have a very cool video coming out, a little bit of a
exciting.
teaser on that. Or if you are actually a Patreon, then you would be watching that video today, right now.
Actually, we are already.
Yeah, well, this is very exciting.
I know.
I mean, we're passionate about this project and about working and figuring out what Delos 2.0 is, and we're finally in a really good place where like I feel like things are aligning with us, and we have like a bunch of opportunities to move forward, and we're starting to share some of those details on Patreon right now, like some of the inner details. There's quite a bit more up there. So if you'd like to follow this evolution with us, because I do think it really is more of like an evolution rather than just a journey to figure out what our next 10-year kind of boat would be. A lot of details going up. You can check it out at patreon.com/SVDelos, where we actually have quite a few little secrets and stuff up there already. That's it. Thank you.
Hope you guys liked the video. See you next week.
Ciao.
Woohoo!